side-by-side comparison just so you guys can see exactly what you just saw. Added a little piece of this rod right here on this flange to strengthen it up, and then added another piece on the inside of the fender here where I'm going to add an extra nut and weld it, and then I'm going to extend this bumper bracket over. That way I can have an extra mounting point on the bumper to fender so that this all lines up better, because of that bumper sag has been so bad that right here at the front of the bumper, it you can see there's not really any material on the bumper. So I'm gonna hopefully be able to add an extra washer under here, and then with the bracket extended, hopefully it'll squeeze it up and, you know, completely alleviate that. So I just wanted to catch you guys up real quick. I still have to add a nut here, and then once that happens, I'm gonna get the other bracket off and line it up to where I can see how much I need to add and where I need to put my hole at. But just wanted to get you guys caught up and show you the side-by-side. Got the flange on there, and I put this extra piece that I was talking about, and I'm gonna leave the welds just to keep it a little bit stronger. Now I'm about to drill a hole right here so I can, I'm gonna go more towards probably the edge, and as much as I can. That way it's holding as close to the very end as possible. So I'll drill holes, and then I'm going to weld a nut from this side under here, so it'll be kind of the same as the factory, just with an extra stud towards the end of the bumper and the fender. So you can see the final product. No more gap up there in the front. It's nice and tight and lined up, and we've got it all the way down. And now there is still a little bit of play in the bumper here, but it lines up pretty damn good, and at least the fender itself isn't wanting to buckle at all. This thing is super strong, so we've got it all lined up where we want it. And I might even, I'm gonna have to do a touch of body work and primer right here anyway because of all the metal work. So I might just bring that out just a touch to make that line up a little bit better. But all in all, it's freaking solid, and basically just repeat that process on the other side and the front will be freaking perfect. So there we have it. All right, guys, as you can see, I've been doing some more work, and that last thing I believe I filmed was this, which is an antenna delete. If you guys didn't realize that, there's a hole there for the antenna. I never will and am never going to use the antenna, so that's gonna clean that up a lot. Not have the little, thing sticking up out of the fender. It's gonna be cleaner. So I basically did the same thing on this side as I did on the other side that I've shown you guys. Added a piece to the bracket, added a nut and a bolt. Still have to clean this bracket up. This was just the first time I mocked it up. And as you can see, they're pretty rusty, so I'm gonna clean them up and put some rust inhibitor or rust treatment on it. But check out how good this thing fits. Very, very happy with it. I am going to do a little bit of body work because there was some splits in this area. So I'm gonna do a little bit of sanding and body work on that, but I'm gonna wait until this is all back on the car. I did it like this because we've got a welder at the shop I work at, and my boss is cool with letting me use it, so figured it'd just be easier to do that here for now. And also This is kind of what I was talking about with this bracket. I don't know if you could tell, but it's all black now. I rust treated it and then sprayed it with some rust sealer, basically. So I'm gonna do that on some areas on the inner fenders, but very, very happy with how this is turning out, and I will show you guys what it looks like once I put it back on the car. All right, as you guys can see, we've got pretty rough underneath side of this bumper here. We're split on both ends, and we got a big split right in the middle. You can see that big old crack there. So I've already kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I roughed it up with some 36 grit. And we're gonna be using this stuff called Panel Bond, and this is a 3M product right here. Semi-rigid parts repair. There's a part number. This stuff is pretty expensive, but it's basically a 2-part mixture. You can use it like epoxy and squeeze it out and mix it up and apply it, but they also have these little tips. I can't remember how much these are, but it basically has a bunch of pathways and it mixes it together. But I'm pretty sure you can only use these tips like once. At least that's how it always works out for me. So I'm going to clean that all up really good, wipe it down, and then I'm going to spread this stuff on it, and it will be basically like a factory bonding where it's going to be pretty rigid and still have a little bit of flex, hence semi-rigid. So the bumper is obviously going to move a little bit here and there, but it should keep those cracks sealed up for a long time. So that's what we're using. So I set the bumper kind of just on its own on the ground, just where it was comfortable. It's been about 10 minutes since I spread this stuff, and it's still a little tacky, but it's already hard. Like, you can't like spread it around or anything. So that stuff's pretty legit. Just really gooped it pretty good on the inside. It should hold pretty good, and luckily it's at the bottom of the bumper. You don't really see it anyway, but just so it's not cracking any worse than it was. And then what I mentioned earlier, some surface rust happening here and there, just on some little spots. As you can see, I've kind of sanded them. And we're just going to spray this Loctite on it, neutralize it, and then we're going to use some Rust-Oleum stuff that basically is another kind of inhibitor and a sealer. So you don't have to get too crazy, but I'm just going to coat all this stuff with it pretty generously, I would say. Just let it dry for a little bit. And I'm gonna hit these brackets and screws as well, because they have a little bit of surface rust, a little griminess to them. Just help them last a little bit longer. Same with these studs. Just trying to minimize the rust. This is a good example of why you should check on your stuff every once in a great while, because you might find some rust, and the quicker you get on it, the better off you're going to be as far as saving your car or getting it fixed or selling it, because you don't want a rust bucket. But don't be that guy. If you find rust, you sell your car, make sure you tell people about it, because I believe in karma. But I'm going to let this stuff set up for a while, and then I'll show you the Rust-Oleum neutralizer that I'm going to seal it with. I also did the same thing to all of the factory hardware. It was pretty surface rusty. So I hit it with that Loctite stuff first, and then I used this afterwards. This is obviously not going to be a super long time fix, but I just figured I would do something with it while I had it all apart to make it maybe last a little bit longer and not rust anymore right this second. So just a quick explanation, I had to make my own crash support slash bumper support because the factory one has to get taken out when you upgrade the intercooler. So basically it was just a piece of square tubing and some flat stock 1/8 inch, and basically just put that on top of the intercooler because that was the right depth or height, sorry, to for the bumper to rest on, and then oriented the flat stock as like a tab over to where the factory crash support bolts in, and drilled holes, welded the tabs to the square stock, and that basically created my own bumper support. So just wanted to explain that real quick, and disregard the hood sandage, but the front end now is fitting very well. There used to be a gap under this headlight and also under this headlight. So all in all, the work that I did was definitely worth it, and it paid off. The gap between the hood and the bumper is also a lot better. So yeah, the sanding on the hood and, you know, some other stuff is actually for the next video, so kind of disregard that. I've just been all over the place. I had a fuel leak that I had to stop doing cosmetic work to fix on the car. So that's all squared away. I'm back to just getting it ready for wrap. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video.